Welcome, everyone, to this weekly live radio show at KCIW 100.7 FM in lovely, warm, sunny, coastal Brookings, Oregon. Thank you for tuning into this week's fun and informative program of Doc and Jacques. I am Dr. GiGi, and I'm sitting next to my co-host, San Francisco, Jacques. How are you today, Jacques?
Hello, Dr. GiGi, and good afternoon, everybody. Afternoon to our guest and to all you loyal and new listeners out there. Thanks to Tom Bozak and Ray Simon and the Engineering Wizardry booth next to the studio here at KCIW. You're tuned into KCIW 100.7. As the doctor said, we're how many shows have we done now? This is number 60?
60.
Number 60. Mm-hmm. You are tuned into the Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show. Today is January 22nd. It is
Celebration of Life.
Okay. So wait, you beat me to it. Celebration of Life Day. Okay, that's groovy. But it's also an incredible day. We've had 10 days of good weather. It looks like we're on a roll here. So I guess with that, let's celebrate life.
And let's celebrate and invite some polka dots for today.
Polka dots? Wait a minute. Polka dots?
Today's also National Polka Dot Day. Woohoo! Polka dot.
But polka dots are what the Germans wear, right? And you're German.
So I was surprised to
polka.
To see that how it's spelled polka, P-O-L.
Is that how the Germans spell it?
Yeah, the polka, but not the polka dots. We don't have
do you like
dots.
polka music, by the way?
No, I mean...
Oompa, loompa, oompa, loompa.
It's kind of cute because it's, Black Forest music.
Okay. Doc, we have fascinating guests.
We do.
Guests that I have interviewed not too many weeks ago at KFUG down in Crescent City, our Crescent City community radio station neighbor and friend. But it's very interesting what they do, and we'll get it out in just a minute. But what do you have today for your MDGG?
MD10. Okay, so today is an extension from last time's MD10, and we will investigate mold. Mold today.
M-O-L-D or
last
mold.
time, we discussed the great kingdom of the fungi and mentioned mold as being a representative of the kingdom, together with mushrooms and the yeasts and more. And we know they are neither plant nor animal, but they have attributes of both of them.
The
right?
mold
Remember?
does, fungi.
The fungi. Fungi. You can say either one.
All right.
There is no... I'm
is
okay
it a pathogen
fungi.
or is it...
Yes, mold can be considered a pathogen. So a pathogen is something that can make us sick. We all know that black mold is bad, but why is it bad? What makes it so bad?
I have some on the top of my head if you want to look at it.
Yikes. Not only will I talk about this in our segment MD10 today, but we also have special guests here today to enlighten us more about this fantastic, interesting, enlightening subject of mold.
Fungi is a separate kingdom on Earth, right? So we got the animal, we got the protozoic, we got
bacteria, plant, animalia, and fungi. Own kingdom.
How
There's
very interesting is that?
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of species out there, and many of them have not been classified. But let me get back to my molds. Molds can be pathogenic for several reasons, so make us sick, right? Mostly they're bad when they make toxins or poisons. Some of them are just byproducts of their metabolism when they're just eating their stuff. Which word don't you understand?
It's a byproducts of their metabolism.
Byproduct is totally English, means something that falls off.
Of their metabolism?
And metabolism is all the chemical reactions in there. So whatever they eat and poop and breathe out, that could be byproduct.
Just testing. Okay.
Some of these toxins are called mycotoxins.
From mycelium?
Myco being the fungi.
The fungi, the mycelium, yes.
Yeah, mycelium. Other things that can make us sick are airborne spores.
I see some right now.
Yeah. So what makes us is we might get allergic reactions such as a runny nose, congestion, cough, etc. Most people, including people with a weakened immune system, inhale mold spores all the time, and we don't get sick from that. So far, not a big deal, right?
No, it doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah, no. Well, there are some couple of issues that I have mentioned to you.
You have not mentioned.
No,
Okay.
so let's go to it.
All right, what do we got?
People with a weakened immune system can get something called invasive mold infection. So that means that the mold is growing inside their blood vessels, deep tissues, or organs. Now, that is bad.
Not good.
Now, when we're talking about hypersensitivity or type 4 hypersensitivity, that one is a normal reaction times 100 times worse, pretty much.
Wow.
So if you think about allergic sniffles, watery eyes, that's type 1. Type 4 would be more like a reaction to a poison oak. You know, the big old swelling, itching.
Yeah, it manifests itself in the metabolism of the hyperbole.
Yeah, or not. So anyway, it is very painful, very itchy, and you get very fat from the hives, and not overall, it's just the skin because it's reacting to the poison oak. Now think of that happening in your lungs.
Oh, not good.
Right? So that's bad. So some black mold, and one of our guests said this very quickly. I cannot say the name very quickly. Stachybotrys chartarum. That's how I pronounce it.
Yeah, he gives it.
I like it.
And Aspergillus niger can produce toxins. They're both black molds that are even worse. They have been used, get this, they have been used as biological weapons.
Shh, don't tell.
Yeah, pretty
Black
scary.
Ops.
Why?
Black Ops.
Why? Because the toxins can be very hard to be denatured or killed or make ineffective. They can enter the body via breathing and just by contact.
So you could get it on your clothes, for instance, and it just keeps living. It gets a gift that
Well,
won't
it doesn't
stop
live,
giving.
but yeah. So it can enter your skin when we have the closed skin. Why do we have a skin to attract from bacteria, viruses to enter? It's dead skin. It doesn't have any water. Nobody's interested. But this fungus toxin can actually enter. Wow. So that's the worstest scenario that can happen.
Wow. And that is very interesting.
Right?
I mean, black mold used as a biological warfare agent. And it is fascinating stuff. Well, folks, as I mentioned earlier, I interviewed these two gentlemen, and we're joined by a third in the studio. Andrew Meyer is the president and founder, the president of Palm Ministries. I'll ask you to give your full title. He's in the studio across from me, and across from Dr. GiGi is Stephen Etheridge. He is working with Palm Ministries, and he will give his title and position, as well as Mark. Mark, what's your last name?
Saunders.
Saunders, okay.
Mark Saunders.
Good friend's named Saunders. All right. So with these three men are here, I kind of called them the mold men. I know that's not an attractive name, but they deal with mold, but they deal with so very much more, and we will find out about that in just a moment. Andrew, let's start off with you. Where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I was born actually in Astoria, Oregon, so the North Coast.
Right on. Yeah. How long did you live there for?
We moved to Brookings when I was just 3 years old.
Okay.
So we went from the north all the way down to the south.
Yeah.
And and then Brookings is where I was raised, went to school here, graduated.
Brookings Harbor High?
Yeah, Brookings Harbor High.
Cool. All right.
Had a great time just being in school, great community. My wife and I started our family here, and ultimately we were able to start a business in Brookings and really had a lot of great community support.
Right on.
And so Palm Industries was started in 2012. And before that, we had Palm Cleaning. So a lot of people still from the old days remember us as Palm Cleaning. A lot of people remember the palm trees. They still see them on the vehicles.
Yeah,
they see the
we
palm
still
trees.
see them around here and there.
Yeah, so we definitely have the logo recognition, even if they don't know exactly what we do.
Right.
They do know about the palm trees.
Looks like vacation to me.
Yeah.
Right.
So, this
2012.
2012 got into restoration. And so we do full restoration and construction for properties that are damaged by water, fire, sewage, mold, trees falling on properties, cars driving through properties.
Wow.
And so it's a niche that I found kind of unexpectedly when I was doing some construction work on a house and the house flooded.
Oh, wow.
And so
That started the whole thing. What's your wife's name?
Melissa.
Is she
Hi,
part of the
Melissa.
business too?
Yeah, she's really the boss behind the scenes.
There you
so.
go. Okay.
All right.
Hey,
We like
Melissa,
women
shout out to Melissa. Yeah, we'll have to have her on the show. Our ladies first. Stephen Etheridge, welcome. Good to see you again, man.
Hey, you too.
Give us your title and position with
Where
Paul
you're
Ministries.
from and everything.
Yeah, totally. So my name is
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Stephen Etheridge here.
Your position.
As you said last time, Etheridge the estimator.
You are the estimator, right?
That is my role. I deal with the financials, the money, the insurance companies, and really, when we get a call, I'll be the first one out there
One of the first boots on the
to
ground.
meet the customer and see what's going on. How much damage is there? How bad is it? And we're looking at water, fire, try to track down the source a little bit, and then it's just working from there to get the home restored and back to normal.
Now, you're a semi-outsider. Where were you born and raised?
Yeah, so I'm from Montana, the
Okay.
Big Sky country.
Big Sky Country. right on.
Bozeman there. That's where my family still is.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
When
love
did
it.
you
It's
join
beautiful.
Palm Industries?
Would have been about 2.5, a little over 2.5 years ago.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, he picked me right out of Dutch Bros. I was slinging coffee. And
Really? How cool is that? What a great story.
yeah,
What a great story.
Nice.
You just like you liked his personality,
Yeah,
right?
it's the personality that's important.
He's
to us.
absolutely, and he's the first guy that hits your customers. He's going to be he's representing you,
Yeah,
for instance, right?
Yep.
So you want somebody that's super.
we want someone that knows how to make
Hospitable.
a mean cup of coffee.
and
exactly.
makes it mean. You do the
For
little
every one of our
fancy
customers,
You do the little fancy things on top. All right. Mark Saunders, we're coming over to you. Welcome, Mark. You came in. We weren't sure if you were coming in, but I'm glad you're here. You are a newbie to Palm Industries. Tell us what your position is and what you're doing with.
Yes and no. I was here when we transitioned from Palm Cleaning to Palm Industries. So I actually worked for the company back in 2011.
Cool.
And and then I did construction for a long time. And full circle, I'm back.
And you're back. Your friends, you've known Andrew for a long time.
22 years?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
You still like him?
You know what? We're still working on this. Just kidding. I do like it.
Is Melissa really the boss? Is she?
Heck yes, Melissa's the boss.
Okay, Melissa.
She's listening.
Seriously,
Hello.
we're gonna. Of course, she's gonna listen. And by the way, let me remind everyone that you can listen to this show at your own leisure by going to kciw.org and pressing on past shows, and just go in the archives. It'll say Doc and Jacques. It'll say Paul Ministries, and you can listen to this at your leisure. So everybody just, and it'll also be released at a podcast right after the show. So
Right.
where are you from, Mark?
I was born in Grants Pass, but my dad managed mills, so we lived all over Oregon. So, yeah.
You're an Oregonian native, then.
Yeah, Grants Pass to Brookings, Brookings to Gold Beach to Central Point, then to Central Oregon. So I've lived all
Right on.
over.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, welcome, and I'm
Most
glad you
local.
came in to give your voice. How long you been with Palm Ministries? This latest time.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. Okay.
Just in time for this.
Be careful what you say. The boss is right here. One of the bosses. All right, I'm going to turn it over. Gigi, you take it off because now we know it's not just mold. We know it's the First off, Andrew, what is remediation? Give us a description of remediation.
So yeah, you hear the terms mitigation and remediation. So mitigation, you're mitigating the damages, right? You're keeping them as minimal as possible. And the remediation is where you're actually remedying. And with mold, you're going in there and you're taking care of the damage and actually cleaning it, disinfecting it, and making it a healthy environment again.
So I lived in Louisiana. I went through Hurricane Laura, who destroyed my house, and coming back from the exile, being gone because we had animals and we had to evacuate to Biloxi. And so we came back seeing the station, which is absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. There I stood, tried with pulling away stuff from that fell off of the other car. I couldn't even move it. And so all of a sudden these cars stopped, said, "Lady, let us do this. We're here." They came from Georgia. They drove down from Georgia to mitigate or something.
Yeah.
Well, right, the mitigation people, and it was just amazing. And they just
Yeah.
so I was crying there because I was all by myself. I didn't know what to do. I've never been through a hurricane, and they were so nice. They said, "We'll take care of you. We'll just do everything." And it came down to no money on my side whatsoever. The insurance took care of it, and those people came and dried the house, and then they took the drywall off.
They draped the house?
Dried
the house.
Well, yeah, they did dried it. They draped it. They put big old tarps over it because it was in the hurricane, so we still had rain. And they had big old fans, and they dried it. And then after a while, at first they made it so I could go enter the house. And then they took the drywall off, and there was green, blue, black mold everywhere after 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
It was
well, it's in Louisiana, too, down
It
the
was in
Delta, right?
Louisiana.
Southern Louisiana.
the house was, oh my gosh. And they said, yeah, and the ceiling would look great. And I said, no, I think that's fine. He said, no, it's not. They took that thing out, and there was mold everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then the adjuster or somebody came in from the insurance and said, this is how much we'll give you for it, and which was a drop in the.
Yeah.
But then they gave me another same amount. And
Okay,
then
it took
was
6 months,
fine.
right, to rebuild?
It took a long time. Lake Charles was under tarp for a year at least. So are you guys and so those were different people who came into the house, right? So are you guys all in one company? Palm Industry does it all? How do you work?
Yeah. So with that, we have it's our guys coming into the house. And then for the construction, we do a lot of it in-house, but we also use our subcontractors. We're a general contractor in Oregon and in California, but it is our guys that come in, and so they get certified through IICRC. That's the governing body for mitigation, remediation processes. So speaking of, they have the handbooks really that we follow, but it's our crews going in there and taking care. So that's something that's really nice. Here on the coast, we have our local team here, so they know, when you see them coming in, they live here, they have their families here. So having that local touch goes a long ways. And same in the valley, it's our guys going in and taking care of people. But we have, we did go to Florida and help out
You
there.
did? Yeah. Oh, wow.
And so we brought our crew over there, and then we did bring on some temps to help us, as well, because it was those hurricanes back to back. And everyone just needed help. And so the big key is that you have strong management and project managers overseeing these projects, because the last thing you want to do is say you're done mitigating, then find out that you didn't mitigate everything, and then mold is coming back a couple weeks later.
How bad is
And if you're not, I'm sure the people that even don't go through a hurricane, if I have tree falls on the house or whatever, you're so, as a homeowner, you're so helpless. You don't know what to do. And then people come, and in my case, they said, don't worry about the money. They got paid somewhere, somehow. It is just like somebody sent from heaven. Somebody's helping me. Oh my gosh. It was just mind-blowing how much help there was when there needed to be help, like you going to Florida.
Good for you.
If one has not gone through this, it is amazing what
Stephen,
you guys do.
Give us a rundown on some molds, common molds that you encounter here in Brookings, Crescent City, this area.
Yeah, so the most common is going to be the aspergillus. The penicillin is going to be what you find really all over due to humidity. You'll see it, even building up around windows and in window tracks. And it's the mold you really need to stay on top of in this area with dehumidification and keeping surfaces clean and letting sunlight into your house. Other drier climates don't have that issue as much. But when there's some kind of water damage, maybe in someone's attic that they don't know about.
So maybe like a pipe burst there, or a slow
pipe
leak
burst.
that they just did not get it. They're on top of it.
Right. It's less common, but the dangerous spore you were talking about, right, is that Stachybotrys. And that's
Stachybotrys?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's what we call it. I don't know if that's,
exactly.
It's easier to say.
Okay,
We call it Stachybotrys.
Yeah.
So,
Could be Botrys. You were probably right there. I liked yours.
Botrys, like botulism in a way.
Okay, so
Yeah.
penicillin, as a little side note, is the one that started the antibiotics, right? It's in the same family.
Yeah.
We're thinking about it just grows on our windsill.
Right.
Louis Pasteur.
Yeah, he found that out. It's pretty amazing. So we'll just wipe it off with mold bleach, or is that good enough for people?
Yeah, no,
people?
that'll give you-
So, the bleach on like really small amounts, that's not going to be an issue. But ultimately, like if it's a a mold issue where you need to have mold remediation. You don't want to use bleach. Bleach is kind of like what people think is what you should use.
Right.
There's a lot of products out there now, even in your local hardware stores, that are really safe for humans and pets. We use a product called Benefect, and that's all natural, and it kills the mold spores. There's a Concrobium, there's another product, and I don't get paid to say all these guys, so
Right.
I'm not getting paid for this. Okay.
They're not your sponsor.
Our
Yeah.
sponsor
Okay,
there.
bad.
Yeah, I'm not sponsored, but they do great Concrobium you can get at Home Depot. And so the big thing with mold is the first thing is you want to make sure when you have an issue to know if you should even be handling it.
Right.
Because I see homeowners that think it's not a big issue, but it really is like a mold infestation. And, they're superheroes and they can take care of themselves, and then they start feeling sick and nauseous.
Wow.
And then you have the people that see, a really tiny bit of mold and they think their entire house is infested. That does happen. And so we always encourage people, hey, if you have a concern, call us and we'll let you know. We're certified for mold remediation. We follow the IICRC standard. It's actually called the S520, and that is a governing board where all these professionals come together that are in the industry, and they make sure that we're updating these procedures on a regular basis for best practices. So we're not guessing. I think that's what's really important is if someone was to call our company, we're not just guessing on what to do. We're following a procedure. And then that way, we're also not alarmists. Unfortunately, in this industry, you have restoration companies that know they can scare a lot of people by saying you have black mold. The moment you say black mold, like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah, right. It's gotten a real bad rap,
Yeah.
I guess, rightfully so. Right.
So you want to know you're dealing with a company that is doing best practices. So one, you may need to say, hey, you guys should not be living here. We need to contain this and do it. Or it may be, hey, I know you're really concerned. This is a small area. We can contain it within that area. You're going to be okay here. But knowledge is power. And so for us, like I tell people, we're not here to guess what to do for you. We have the procedures to follow. We actually just took on a job I just got actually right before I got here that we just took over from another company because they did not follow the procedures of containment and sealing properly. And so now we have a customer that the homeowner's out of state, the tenants are really stressed out, and because it just wasn't done right. So it's really important that whoever you call, that they follow the standards, and then understanding Stachybotrys is that is
The bad guy.
The bad guy. Yeah, there's over 100,000 species of mold. I think
Yeah.
right now. There's dozens of black molds that are black in color.
Yeah.
Right.
I tell people if you smell it when you walk in the house, you have too much mold.
Yeah.
Just like K-Fug Studio.
Like K-Fug Studio, yeah. I think
K-Fug Studio had
I-
that.
This side.
I think I had to go detox after I had that meeting.
So we've been house hunting for a little bit in
Oh,
somewhere.
I told them about it on K-Fug when I interviewed them.
And we have seen the houses that we couldn't even go into a room.
They told
because
us
of
they
black
can't open
mold.
that room. The realtor said can't open that room. What do you mean?
How does it? Number one, how do you let it go that far? And if there are animals in the house, either pets or wild animals, what do they do with that mold? Can they transfer it? What's going on?
I think the first step is if you're smelling mold, it's a living organism, so you have to understand water and food.
Yeah.
So somehow it's able to grow. So one, it needs water, so moisture. And so you really want to be looking for moisture problems if it's a bad roof, a leaky roof, a leaky pipe in the wall that hasn't been detected. And then the food source is, your drywall, your 2x4.
The drywall.
Yeah, it eats the drywall. and so you have that water source and the food, it's going to continue to grow. And then as it eats, so I use really simple terms to help people because it helps me as well. But I'm like, so the mycotoxins is it's pooping,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So it's
Right.
leaving its waste.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what we're smelling?
Yeah, that's what you're smelling is actually
it's getting
you're
even better
smelling-
now. Okay.
Yeah, so-
Mold poop.
Mold goes poo poo and you smell it. You just want to be aware of finding the moisture source first. And then for animals, going in and out, you can have mold on your clothes, things like that. But
Right.
the real issue is when it's a vast amount of mold and it's being concentrated, and that's what you really need to take care of. So containment's really important before you rip anything out. This is the big thing that people always mess up on is like, oh, we have mold, we need to rip it out. So they don't contain it. They don't do negative air.
Yeah.
They rip open this drywall that now the backside's all black mold that just exposed, and now all that the mold spores that were dormant now just got activated and spread
flourishing.
throughout.
Right.
Yeah.
Spreading through
Okay,
the air.
Ginger asks a question. She says, "What happened?" You said bleach and all that. She says, "Lemon juice, orange oil, and vinegar is her solution." That's what.
Hey, go her.
Okay, go for
We
it,
don't
Ginger.
use that.
Now you know the answer, Ginger. So that's what I would. You said bleach. I just had to throw that out.
Okay. Well, so there's other things that you guys do. The mold. When you say water damage, is it always mold or is it other stuff too that needs to be remediated?
A lot of times you can catch it before the mold ever comes. So someone has a pipe burst in their house and maybe they were gone over the weekend and come back and there's water just flooding everywhere. All that water needs to go. So we'll come in and we'll pump it out with extraction vans and send teams in to set up drying equipment ASAP. And usually a lot of that material, once it gets saturated, needs to
So
come
the
out.
main danger is the mold. That's what the water damage has to be taken
Right.
care of.
You need
because
to
of the
prevent
mold.
it. Yeah,
I
exactly.
see. Okay. Wow. Now, do you have to wear special clothing, footies, or are you just going in with mask?
The being brave.
Yeah. Our teams do
Respirator.
use PPE, personal protective equipment. Our teams will use so respirators and suits. It depends on the job. If it's just water, then there's not really a need for that. I'm sure they'll wear gloves, but really it's, they're focusing on getting the moisture out of the building. But if it's mold, definitely.
So let's talk about the tree that falls on the house. Actually, down our road, we had this storm a couple
Huge
months ago.
cypress tree.
Huge tree falling on somebody's roof, and they got the roof repaired very quickly. Actually, do you go in there too for remediation and saying this needs to be done, a roof and the hoisters or whatever?
So you're going to get a call first, right? Is
Right.
that how it says the
Yeah.
scenario? What's the progress?
I think Steven,
Mark?
this is perfect for us to talk about this because Steven,
Steven.
you just got a job with a massive tree that went redwood that went
yeah,
to your
tell
house.
Massive redwood split the entire house, basically
Wow.
left to right, all the way down through the roof, through the trusses, through the sheathing, and even through the sheetrock ceiling,
Oh, geez.
and crushed some of the header framing down. So it was massive
Yeah.
damage, and they were inside their house. It fell right in front of them, and
Oh
water
my
flowing everywhere.
gosh.
Just absolutely like a traumatizing
Horror
situation.
show,
You
right?
couldn't imagine, right?
Yeah.
So, essentially they got on it right away, calling insurance and getting someone to tarp it and all of this. But we came in, behind, and we just recently, got all the water out, had to do a muck out, had to clean everything with antimicrobial, had to gut all of the walls and floor and ceiling down to the studs, remove some of the studs. And
So you guys do that. So,
Yeah.
So there is
Right.
not, you don't go together. That's your job, and you just get a hold of the insurance.
yeah.
Now, if you're the
essentially.
estimator, is that your title, estimator? If you're the estimator, you estimate it costs so much, is the insurance going to say, okay, that's how much we pay, or is it always
Oh,
a fight?
we wish.
Man, if that's how it went.
our stress levels would be a lot less if that's how that went.
So good. Yeah, it's a bit of a negotiation sometimes where they'll write an estimate and we will, and usually theirs is somewhere between half to 75% of our price, and we'll just negotiate a middle number, and then once we find it, that right price that works for the insured, ultimately we're trying to just get them what they had before.
Now, the estimator I had was from my insurance. Is that, but you don't do that. You don't have to go, it doesn't have to be an estimator from the insurance?
The adjuster. So
The adjuster,
Or
yeah.
adjuster?
Yeah, so you had so insurance will have an adjuster for every
Oh,
loss.
I see.
And then they work with our estimator to come to an agreed scope.
Okay.
Right.
Well, very
Let's take a quick stop here because amazingly, it's already at that halfway point, our mid-break show here on the Doc and Jacques Live radio show, broadcasting from the KCIW 100.7 FM LP studios in lovely Brookings, Oregon. It is Wednesday, and it's a beautiful Wednesday, January 22nd, here in this wonderful corner of paradise in which we all live. We've been talking with Andrew Meyer, Stephen Etheridge, Mark Saunders with Palm Industries, and we're going to get into a whole bunch more, but I want to give a big shout out to our major supporters that have become major supporters of this radio station, primarily Advanced Airlines. Thank you. Thank you, Levi Stockton and Barbara Hunt. Thank you, Remax Coast and Country, Brett and Marie Curtis, right? Yeah. Curry County Chamber of Commerce with Michelle Bupert. Hey, thank you so much. Doc Bellardi, everybody's best friend with Crescent Land Title Company. The Harbor Commissioner, Dan Schmidt, and his wife, Phyllis Schmidt. Thank you so much for your becoming major supporter. Dr. GiGi Reed, MD, and me and little old me. Okay, we contributed here. The Art Gallery in Crescent City, the Harbor Gallery in Crescent City, Tsunami Lane's the only bowling lane center in our entire area. Nick and Lisa Real and their PPA or their Partnership for the Performing Arts, which is building a new $50 million event center near the high school in Crescent City. And finally, Chetco Medical and Aesthetics. So thank you, Dr. Patel and Rachita. Everything's fine. It's good. Who did I forget?
Did you get the South Beach? South
Yes,
Beach?
Port-au-Prince, South Beach. Thank you, Doctor. And Dr. John Kirk, we appreciate your business. So these are people that are major supporters. And if you're interested, you can reach out to me. I'm Jacques Kepner, K-E-P as in Paul, N-E-R. You can find me on Facebook. You could also reach out to us at kciw.org. Okay, back to the three men in this studio. And I want to shift,
Industries, yeah.
if we don't mind, let's shift out of mold and go to what is your number one thing that you do? What is your business? Give us some other areas, gentlemen, that people are using Palm Industries.
Well, water damage is the number one. So,
Number one.
Yeah, and then
Is that rainwater damage or is it water from the ground or
so
Broken
this can be
pipes.
broken pipes,
Broken
supply
pipe.
lines, washers, dishwashers, toilet overflows.
Oh,
And then, we had, as we all know, we had a ton of rain a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Right.
So that was all from groundwater and rainwater.
Yeah,
and
right.
A lot of flooded homes. In the valley, there's a lot of basement flooding. And so you have water damage we need water, but it also can become a real issue when you have pipes breaking. Then fire and smoke damage is a number, that'd be like our number two. And then we have sewage. I know no one wants to talk about sewage, but
So a
Still water.
broken sewage lines.
Broken sewage line.
Yeah.
I find it either by digging in the wrong spot or just an old pipe that
Yep.
finally rusted out.
Yeah.
It's backed up now and it's causing problems
Yeah.
and horrible problems.
The storm damage, of course, when storms happen, we have those
the
coming.
tree falling.
And there's also the crime element,
And
right?
yeah, we don't, like I said before, even when we met last time, we don't actively pursue it. We're certified for it, but it is a niche. It's the trauma cleanup that we deal with. So, if someone gets in an accident, unfortunately, suicides, where we come in and we take care of people that the people are gone, but the property has damage to it, and we'll come in there and we'll disinfect and clean it. And
Right.
So that's not done on the medical/state medical level?
they take care of the body,
Right.
Yeah, the coroner comes and picks up the body, right? Or the funeral home.
but then it's up to the homeowner or the property owner to take care of whatever has to be cleaned. Insurance, one thing I do want to let people know is a lot of times insurance does cover for this, and people just don't know that. So
Right.
the hardest part, I will say, unfortunately, it is the suicides. You have grieving family members.
Pure, horrible.
And, now they're having to clean afterwards.
Right.
And so, those are ones where we really try to see how we can help them through that time, because that's the last thing we want to see a family have to deal with. And so, but we tell them, hey, check your insurance, because, that's even hard to say that in that moment, but it's like, if
Right.
this will help you by you guys not having to do this on your own.
So, Stephen, you've been called out to those kind of things too, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely.
You
the
see
most
the aftermath of
challenging.
it, right? The aftermath of it.
Yeah.
All right, well,
exactly.
So wait, how do you check your insurance? I don't remember. So is it?
Yeah, so you would just the first thing is you would just call your insurance company and say, hey, this is what
I see.
happened, and they'll let you know.
I see.
And they're good with that. You just tell them like, hey, we had a
Right.
trauma or someone passed away.
Yeah.
Another thing in in communities. You have people that are just getting older and they don't have family or friends, unfortunately, sometimes. And so they pass in their homes and no one knows about it for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And then, that's something that does happen as well.
Putrefaction of the body. Okay. Switching gears real fast. Mark, tell us what does your job entail?
So my job is business development. So I'm going to be going out into the community, and we're going to be giving businesses an opportunity to have ERPs, which is an emergency response plan. So last week, actually, no, it was this week, we went to a business next to Mattress Land, and I don't know if you're familiar with that or saw it on the news, but it went up in flames like I've never seen in my life in downtown Medford.
A mattress company or next to
Yes,
it?
a mattress company.
Oh,
so
my
we
goodness.
showed up, and we got a call to show up to Buttercloud Bakery, and we're dealing with contents job there and the smoke damage and stuff like that. No businesses, no homeowner ever plans on this happening,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Nobody ever plans on this happening. So we want to get ahead of it and present to them an ERP, which consists of us. We have an app that we're developing right now, and it's going to allow these businesses to push one button on this app and contact us and get boots on the ground immediately. So where this is so much different than residential is time is money, right? So what if it's a elderly care facility?
Yeah.
We have to be able to get in there, get boots on the ground, and secure it as fast as we can so that it doesn't develop into mold. If it's not a place that's hosting people, even if it's a restaurant, they're out of work the longer that they sit undone. So for us to get in there, and we have a long list of contractors that we can use if the job is bigger than our capacity.
Are you kind of almost like an insurance saying, big safeguard for the future? Everybody thinks it's not going to happen to me.
We don't say it's if, it's when. That's the way we, 1 in 60 homes has a water damage from what I've seen. So with businesses, it could be less, but when it does, I don't want to say there's more on the line, but there is more money on the line for businesses, right?
So
'Cause
the
they're out of
more you
business.
know about potential customers, the better you are able to deal with that customer if such an event arises. That's kind of what I'm getting.
It's an agreement that they would sign, it's not a binding contract, but it's an agreement that says that if something does happen, they're able to call us and we get there immediately. So
it's an app that they can use in case. It's not like
Yep.
it's like you pay money every month to.
there's
so
no
it's just an app
monthly
that they can use.
There's no monthly cost
Yeah.
at all. We go in and we'll
Right.
take pictures. We're going to find out where your water shutoff is. It's amazing how many people do not know where their water shutoff is at their
Yeah.
house and even at their business. So we're going to figure all that out for them so that when something does happen, we will be ready and they won't have to. All they got to do is push a button and get a hold of us.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's, going piggybacking off what Mark's sharing there, the whole purpose behind this is, like you said, a lot of times no one's expecting a water or fire damage. And so by us going in there, we actually will do a sketch of the building. We do photo documentation. So when that happens, when they press that button, when our technicians get that call, they also log into the same app and they can see where the shutoff valves are for sprinkler systems, for the water valves, for the electrical panels. So what we're realizing is, and we've done a couple commercial jobs recently where people just don't know where their water shutoff valve is, and so it's just pouring constantly.
Yeah.
Now you're coming in there and you're being proactive. I think that's something that we realize is a real need in this, because no one's really, as we all can say, no one's thinking about, I wonder when I'm going to have a water damage. Like no one thinks like that.
Yeah.
So by getting ahead of the game, with just Mark and I and our team going out there, it's to kind of shed a light on it. Like, hey, I know you probably don't think you're going to have a fire damage, but here's 2 buildings that just got heavily damaged by fire, or here's buildings that got damaged by water. And if we can get there and turn the water off immediately and just be proactive, know the building, it gives a peace of mind for the property owner to know, like, we can just press this button and we know we have a company that's going to be
That's
there.
really cool. Now, did you develop the app, or does it exist, or?
So the app's being currently developed, and I'm not tech savvy.
In-house type?
No, we outsource it from a company that specifically deals with restoration ERP.
Oh, cool.
And so they,
Great idea.
yeah. So something that we just saw over in Florida. Actually,
Yeah.
I saw
I see.
them using that. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is such a
that
great
is
idea.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw this? You basically just copied. They said, "Hey, this is something."
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
It's okay. Hey,
No,
if-
I have no problem copying great
Hey,
ideas.
that's right. If you take someone else's idea, they call that plagiarism. But if
Yeah.
you take a whole bunch of people's ideas, that's called research.
So the industry's really getting behind the ERP because they're realizing it's such a benefit to property owners.
And it really is no cost till you need them,
Yeah.
right? So, and then it's the faster.
And then the question, the people say, well, then what if you guys are more expensive? Well, the reality is when you have an emergency,
You don't
you're not price shopping,
Yeah.
and we use an industry standard pricing anyways.
Right.
So there's no gouging or adding more. It's like, so now you have a company that knows your property versus a company that is
Right.
walking on site and they don't know.
So, at what point do you consider a loss? So, how much mold is too much mold? How much water damage is too much damage? How much tree damage is too much tree damage?
So what you do, Stephen, you kind of go in there and go, well, you got your house got flattened.
Or is that, I got flattened. Or is that your call to make?
There's only been a few that I've seen since I've worked here where it's a total loss. And usually those are fires where the fire just burns 3/4 of the home.
Yeah.
You're not going to rebuild,
Yeah.
and try to restore that home. You're going to demolish it. A lot of times, I don't know, Andrew has more experience in this, but a lot of times with a tree hitting a house, you're most of the time going to be able to restore it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is on the insurance side. I'll give you a little insight on the insurance. A lot of times, so they're looking at policy limits. So let's say your house is insured for $500,000.
Yeah.
Well, if it's 80% or more, usually they will call that a total loss because what they're realizing is there's no point in spending 80% of this because you're probably going to have other things you'll find out as you're repairing it.
Like a car.
Mm-hmm. So they're like, hey, we're just going to call this is just a total loss. At the end of the day, insurance companies do not want to do total losses because they're paying out the full amount of the policy.
Oh, I see.
So they really do, with it being a restoration contractor and Stephen working with insurance, there's a lot of contractors I've seen where they'll go in and like, oh, yeah, this is a total loss. We need to rebuild this house as a general contractor. Well, as a restoration contractor, where we're still a general, we deal with damages all day long to where we're like, hey, we can save half of this house, half of the drywall, so we don't need to just gut everything. So insurance wants to, it's their call always, but ultimately they're looking at that ratio. So we're going to give them a price. Hey, here's our price, and then ultimately the insurance company will
We
determine.
looked in a house this past weekend, and actually the realtor said you don't even need to look at it because it has black mold everywhere and it needs to be torn down. So we actually did go look at the house, and we couldn't see in every room, but the rooms that we saw had no black mold. So,
Wait, he also told us the driveway we couldn't get up it with our car. We did.
So is this realtor trying to buy this
We
house?
think it goes on the auction step on February.
Because that's what that sounds like to me. I'm just
Right, I
saying.
mean,
Hey, Mark, Brookings is a small town. I don't know. Can you keep yourself busy here? Or are you going to be expanding your operations and trying to get this program
So-
set up elsewhere?
I live in Grants Pass,
Okay.
and then so I work at the headquarters with Andrew over there. But we are going to start in Grants Pass and kind of work our way out. We do a lot of work in Medford, but also we're at the Coast Weekly to come see, Stevens over here with the Brookings division, the coastal
Yeah,
division.
where's your new office? Where's the headquarters here in Brookings?
So it's a 745 Railroad.
Right down the street?
Yeah, and so we've been, if you guys, people driving by, they've seen us always kind of tinkering on that building. So we started doing quite a bit on the exterior, then the rains came, and then we switched to interior, and we completely gutted that office. So it's a brand new office inside.
Ooh, yeah.
Praise the Lord, because we needed it.
Right.
And it's so nice to have a new office for the team to work
so
in.
you're from here, but you have your head, the main office in Medford. So this is
Grants
an out-
Pass.
Oh, Grants
Yeah.
Pass. So this is an outpost.
So yeah. That sounded so sad. You called it an outpost. It's like we're in the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's even better. It's the
Fort
old roller
Brookings.
skating rink.
It's the old roller skating rink. That's where I learned where to roller skate was
Yeah.
in the building we now have. It's pretty
No
crazy.
kidding. Oh, really? That was it?
That's where I learned how to roller skate.
here,
yeah.
here in Fort Brookings?
In Fort Brookings, I learned how to roller skate there. So I I moved my family over to the Valley back in 21. So I was here. This is our home base for all these years, and then we had an opportunity to move into the Rogue Valley. We had adjusters asking us if we would think of opening up a shop there. We'd already been looking at it, and so we opened that shop up, and then. It's the Rogue Valley. There's a lot more people, so
Sure.
Right.
Bigger market.
Yeah.
right?
But you know what? I'll tell you, the coastal town, the Brookings, we've done so much business here. I feel like when I drive around, I've been in every other house I drive
Wow.
by.
Oh, it's,
So Steven and the team here, they do a great job. And we're really busy here in Brookings, Gold Beach, Crescent City.
I was going to say Crescent City now. That's in California.
Yeah.
Your neighbor to the south. So you're licensed to do work in,
Yep.
in California. Good for you.
Yeah. So, so I have a lot of good, fond memories of starting out here. It's my home.
So
home
you
base.
have to commute back and forth.
Yep.
So what you do when the road is closed, like it was last year, quite a bit.
We
He trusts me.
yeah.
Stephen Etheridge going, the boss. He trusts me.
Yeah, you know what? We have a great team, and I know we're laughing, but no, we do trust our team here. They know how to take care of business, and they get a lot of great compliments. You can't have a successful business without the team. It is a team effort, and so without the people we have, it wouldn't be what it is today.
So how do people get a hold of you? Everybody sees I have seen the palms many times.
Yeah,
but
your
how
old facility out on 101. We looked at it. It's now called Siren.
On Museum Road.
No, on 101. It's in front of the
by
museum.
Yeah.
South of town a little bit.
Yeah.
Harbor.
and Harbor.
Yep.
We looked at that.
We looked at it. We were thinking of
It was on the market for a long time. We looked at it and immediately sold the next day.
Oh. Yeah.
Second we looked
Okay.
at it.
So yeah, you can call our local offices, Brookings office. And
What's the number?
541-813-1337.
Also, Instagram and Facebook. We've just set up a new Instagram under Palm Restore, and we do some fun videos, but also there's some information on there. So, like we just did one that was posted on the health risks of mold.
Ooh.
So we do take some pictures from some jobs. We don't expose the customers or anything like that, of course, but you do see some of the mold stuff. So it's kind of cool to follow. Like I said, there's information on there, kind of what to look
I'm going to have
for.
to say that you guys are involved in it can be a dirty business, right? You're going into burned out structures, you're going into mold, but you're all three, you're handsome guys, you're good looking guys, and you're
Bless your
healthy,
heart.
So
Probably, I would say it goes handsome down for sure. But anyway, you decided.
you're a very good looking crew here, I got to say. All right, with that being said,
Instagram
Palm
and
Restore
Facebook.
is what they Palm Restore.
Palm, like the palm
Okay.
Yeah.
tree.
And then 541-813-1337. We still have about
Right. And
10
then
minutes to talk.
Facebook.
Facebook is
or-
under Palm Industries. We're going through a little bit of a rebrand here, so there's one of our new logos we're working on. What do
Oh,
you think?
nice.
Wow. Is the
And right
three
now-
palm tree still there? With
Okay,
the,
you're on Wharf. You're right over here. You're kind of near Superfly's distribution, that weird building there,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so that's where I pass you by. You're near the Buy Mart, off of Railroad, near the plant or the mill. So that's kind of where
Yes.
you're at. Okay. Can people walk in and say, "Hey,
Yep.
I got an issue"?
Yeah, so Christy is our office manager here.
Hey, Christy.
And yeah, I think she's listening right now. So shout out
Yo,
to Christy.
Christy.
All right.
Yeah, she's there every day, 8 to 5. We have that office. You can walk in, say, hey, we need some help on a mold, water, whatever it is. And she will direct them to Steven or to who she needs to. But yeah, you can walk right in and talk with us and see what we're about. So yeah.
Okay, I got to back it up. Just one question more about fire and smoke. It's the smoke damage that can just be so horribly. We talked about the building recently. There's a building here in town that had a fire. It wasn't that bad of a fire, but man, it was an acrid. It stuck on our clothes. Just that wiped out. What do? You got to basically go in there and just remove all of that sheetrock. Whereas if it was a flood, it would be, you could see where the water line went or something like that. But this smoke, right?
Yeah, smoke damage is going to be different levels of the intensity from the fire and how much it burns into.
What it burns, I guess.
Yeah, and also the different types of burns. So you can have burns that are from chemicals, from all different type of material you're gonna smell different things when it burns. Grease fires.
Grease fire. Wow.
So like the building that you were talking about, that was a heavily smoked out one that we would not try to smoke clean, is what we would do if it's a lighter smoke. That was a heavy smoke, which means it's not going to be worth to clean it and then to seal and paint it. It'd actually be cheaper to rip it out and replace it.
Wow.
And so it's important to know how bad it is. If it's a smoke clean we're dealing with, we use air scrubbers. So we're using charcoal filters, HEPA filters with charcoal filters to go through the air, and it's scrubbing the air.
Scrubbing. So
you've got to sometimes just do it inch by inch, kind of foot by foot.
So we have certain sponges we use specifically for smoke and fire damage, and they do an amazing job actually of getting all the soot off the wall. And then after we get it all off the wall, then we do a final wash on it, and then we do a seal and paint. So it's not just like a seal and paint, you're done.
Right, that's what I think.
So do you also do the painting at the end?
Yeah.
It's always you paint it over?
Yeah. So whenever we're dealing with smoke damages, unless it's a very light smoke, you're gonna end up sealing and painting. And the reason for that is because when it gets warm, let's say you had a fire damage, usually, let's say it's in the winter or cold, and then it warms up, you want to make sure it's cleaned and sealed and painted, because if there's any residue left, it can all of a sudden you can start smelling the smoke again. So it's really important to mitigate that. Attic spaces, if those aren't sealed, the sheathing and the trusses from a fire damage in there, and you don't replace the insulation, all of a sudden summertime comes around, someone calls us and says, "Hey, I still smell smoke," and it's because it wasn't.
Have you ever had a skunk release inside of a house and had to go clean up skunk smell?
Yeah, skunks are fun to try to clean up. That's for sure.
You don't go get weird animals though. A python down the base of the escape.
That's Florida. I'm pretty sure.
That's a new guy's job. Mark, come on out there. Come out there. We'll give you a pole and a glove.
Now, there's spots that you don't know what they are and you don't know how to get rid of it, or is it usually we had a fire damage, we had water damage, or is there people moving in saying, "I don't know what that is. Can you clean that up?" type thing, or does that not happen?
Yeah, we've had some There's funny things people call us in for sometimes. So,
well, tell us a couple.
So I will say on the water damage, multiple times now we have people letting us know they have water damage on their floors, and they have these little dogs, these little chihuahuas that pee everywhere. And we have to explain to them that it's not a water.
It's dry on one day and it's wet the next. And you're like, what?
So it is a water damage for that spot, but it's going to be taken care of until the next hour that the dog has to go again. So you get stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's just sometimes you get people coming in and with mold, that's when people will just see a discoloration and it's not even mold, and you have to explain to them like, that's actually paint.
How is
Right.
That's
what
not
is,
mold.
what is Palm Ministries website?
So it's www.palmindustriesinc.com.
One word only.
Inc.com.
Yep,
Right?
it's all, put it on.
So if you just put in Palm Ministries, I don't think you...
Don't do Palm Ministries. We couldn't get that. And it goes,
www.palmindustriesinc.com.
yeah, you gotta add the INC.
Okay, we got it.
We have a new. We're with Mark. Mark's helping me out a lot with the marketing side of things, and we have a new domain name that's getting linked. It's not linked yet, but it will be palmrestore.com.
Palmrestore.com.
So
coming up.
You can go to it now. It'll say under construction. So it's there.
Okay.
And we'll be having that linked to the Palm Restore on Instagram.
Right. It was going to be in the social media then as well.
Phone number is 541-813-1337. Gentlemen, I mean, we've found out so much information about things that people really don't sit there and, it's a daily conversation.
Right.
But if and when it happens to you, if it's true that so many of these homes, like Mark was referring to, that 1 out of 50 or so things get damaged, these homes, that very well could be my house or your house next, and to be aware of these things. Didn't know mold was so prolific. Of course, we live in a wet environment here, right? So it makes sense. We know a lot more than we did when we started this hour. I want to thank all three of you.
So interesting.
Yeah, it really is.
So important. If I would have never guessed the jobs you guys do if I wouldn't have had, the hurricane coming. It is amazing. You don't think about that because
Yeah.
it doesn't happen to
Right.
you, right?
That's
Till
right.
it happens.
Hey, Mark, 3 weeks on the job. What's your least like part of your job?
Jeez.
Mark, be careful what you say.
I'm gonna say I got it pretty good. I mean,
Okay, there
I'm
you
getting
go.
paid for this. So
There's no complaints at all. All right, folks, you've been listening to the men of and Christy and Melissa. If you're listening too, do you have somebody listening? Either one of you guys?
I think my wife, Karis, is tuning in.
Karen?
Kara?
Karis.
Karis, hey,
Yeah.
Karis. All right, Karis, and yeah, just.
did they get this distinction?
no, we-
Listen, I got fans. Leave me alone.
Your fan. They've been, the gentlemen here are from Palm Industries, an integral part of our community. They're known far and wide with a good reputation, and now we know why. All right. Thank you, gentlemen,
thank
for coming
you.
in so much.
Yeah.
All right, Doc, what
Super
time is it?
cool.
It
It's
is Fun Time Corner. All right.
Woo-hoo.
Give me a good quote. You got any good mold quotes?
Yeah, so I Googled actually mold quotes, and a bunch of companies' names came up to give me quotes on mold removal, and that is for real. That up. Okay, so then I have another mold.
Oh, that was one of the quotes?
No, that was just a story.
Hey, by the way, indecisiveness is my new favorite word. Well, actually, no, it isn't.
That was your joke. No. Okay. I can
darn it.
take years. So I did find mold quotes.
Okay.
It can take years to mold a dream. It only takes a fraction of a second for it to be shattered. So those are the mold
I like
quotes.
My Uncle Ted's doctor gave him 1 year to live, so he killed him. The judge gave Ted 15 years. Ted's now got 14 years left. Problem solved.
That's the math.
That didn't go. I won $3 million on the lottery, and so I decided to give 1/4 to KCIW. So, Tom and Linda out there, now I have, I'm going to give you a check for, no, forget it. I blew it. Oh, my gosh, darn it. How are husbands like wine? They take forever to mature.
Yeah.
Phew, fine.
All fungi are edible. Some fungi are only edible once.
Okay,
That's
cool.
my quote.
Speaking of edible, a man assaulted me recently with milk, butter, and cheese.
Yeah.
How dare he? Oh, man, these are bombing. I'm so sorry. Tom just threw down his earphones in the
I have another one. I have another one.
Okay, what do you
The
got?
difference between animals and fungi is simple. Animals put food in their bodies, whereas fungi put their bodies in the food.
That's right. We were talking about, yeah, okay. The weird stuff. Dr. GiGi, why are you always so calm? Because she has patience. Oh, I got finally one sort of work there.
Hey, you want to try your $1 million one?
What do you call an inexpensive circumcision?
What?
A ripoff. That's about as dirty of a joke as I've ever told on air. You know that? It's not dirty. You're not laughing, Doctor.
I take that joke off.
You're the one that left it on there, so I read it.
That's 2 thumbs up.
Remember, being healthy is basically dying as slowly as possible. That's what you
Okay.
should have said.
Yeah, that's what I should have said.
What,
All right.
one more minute?
Well, no, we're almost
Gentlemen,
ready to go.
thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Really
We're at the end of our next
Fun
Palm
time. Garner.
Industries. Yes, mold guys. We call them the mold guys. Now we know their
Now
real
they're
names.
mold men, but that's not nice.
You have been listening to Doc and Jacques on KCIW LP 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon. We hope you enjoyed our show as much as we have, learning about all the stuff we can do to help our home.
Thanks to Tom Bozak and Ray Simon in the engineering booth. We really appreciate you, gentlemen, for doing what you do. And listen, folks, have a good, safe week out there. Peace and love. Got some great guests next week. Stay tuned. We appreciate you. And peace and love.
Bye.